Cenat is no stranger to the spotlight. His Mafiathon 2 was yet another massive success in the world of live streaming, racking up millions of views as fans tuned in to watch the internet's golden boy do what he does best: bring chaos, comedy, and surprises to life. His marathon streams are infamous for unpredictable guests, jaw-dropping stunts, and the kind of energy only Kai can deliver. But what unfolded during this particular segment of the live stream was unlike anything his audience, or even Kai himself, could have imagined. It all started innocently enough. The day was filled with laughter, outrageous dares, and the type of high-energy moments Kai's fans have come to love. That's when Max Major entered the scene. For those who don't know, Max Major is a magician and mentalist who thrives on pushing boundaries. He's known for creating illusions that blur the lines between reality and fiction. But this time, it seemed he crossed those lines entirely. Kai introduced Max with his trademark enthusiasm, hyping up the audience for what they were about to witness. At first glance, it was just another guest segment, a little magic to break up the marathon. But as Max began explaining his act, a sense of tension began to creep in. Max promised something unforgettable, a trick that would leave Kai and his audience stunned. Kai, ever the showman, played along, joking about how nothing could surprise him. Little did he know, the next few moments would take a turn that no one was prepared for. The setup was simple: a platform, a noose, and several colored handles for Kai to choose from. The idea was straightforward yet ominous. Pull a handle and watch what happens. Max's calm demeanor only added to the unease. As he climbed onto the platform, the noose now draped around his neck. The audience was on edge, wondering how far this act would go. And so was Kai. He laughed nervously, cracked a joke or two, and then, with hesitation written all over his face, reached for the first handle. What followed was a moment that felt like it was ripped straight out of a psychological thriller. As Cenat stood before the magician's ominous setup, the atmosphere in the stream shifted. What began as a lighthearted magic act quickly turned into something darker, more intense. Max Major, with the noose securely fastened around his neck, stood on the precarious platform, staring calmly at Kai, as if daring him to proceed. Max's instructions were chilling. Pull one of the colored handles. Each handle could trigger a different outcome, but only Max knew what would happen. The audience held their breath as Kai hesitated. Nervous laughter bubbled out of him, a classic Kai move to break the tension. But this time, it didn't work. The suspense was too heavy, and even Kai couldn't hide his unease. Finally, with thousands of viewers watching, Kai reached for the red handle. He paused, glancing back at Max, almost as if to ask, "Are you sure about this?" Max gave him a slight nod, a smirk playing on his lips. Then, with one swift motion, Kai pulled the handle. What happened next stunned everyone. The platform beneath Max's feet dropped, and for a split second, it looked like the magician had been hanged. The tension exploded into chaos. Gasps flooded the chat as Max's body went limp, swaying slightly in the noose. For a moment that felt like an eternity, nothing happened. Kai's face morphed from confusion to sheer panic. "No way!" he exclaimed, stepping back as his hands shot up to his head. The playful vibe that had defined the stream until this point was gone, replaced by an eerie silence. For Kai, it was no longer just a show. This was a disaster unfolding live. His voice cracked as he yelled, "Stop filming! End the stream!" The chat exploded, with viewers spamming everything from shocked emojis to frantic questions. Was this real? Had something gone horribly wrong? Kai looked around for answers, his mind racing, but the truth was, he didn't have any. All he knew was that, in an instant, a moment meant for entertainment had turned into a nightmare. As the seconds ticked by, the panic on Cenat's face was palpable. His energetic, carefree demeanor had been replaced by raw fear. For someone who thrives on chaotic, unpredictable content, this moment was too real, too heavy. Kai was visibly shaken, pacing back and forth, muttering under his breath, "What just happened? What do we do?" His mind was racing, and so was the chat, which had descended into utter chaos. Viewers were spamming questions. Is this part of the act? Did something go wrong? Others weren't waiting for answers. They were calling it what they thought it was: a horrifying mistake broadcast live to millions. The tension in the room was suffocating, and Kai knew the implications. He wasn't just a content creator at this moment. He was a man at the center of a possible tragedy. Kai's panic wasn't just about what had seemingly happened to Max Major. He began voicing a fear that all streamers dread, the dreaded Twitch ban. "Yo, they're gonna ban me for this," he blurted out, his voice cracking. He looked off camera, pleading with his team, "Cut the stream. Shut it down now." But it wasn't just the possibility of a ban. In Kai's world, every move is scrutinized by millions, and the potential fallout from what looked like a live tragedy was enough to rattle even someone as composed as him. Kai was desperate for clarity, but Max Major remained motionless, swaying in the noose. The audience wasn't just shocked. They were furious. In a matter of moments, social media platforms lit up with posts questioning how such a stunt could happen. Tweets rolled in by the second. This isn't entertainment. It's irresponsible. What is wrong with them? Meanwhile, Kai continued to spiral, his normally quick wit and humor drowned out by the sheer gravity of the moment. This wasn't just about entertainment anymore. Cenat, the king of chaotic live streams, was now facing his worst nightmare, an event so shocking, so unprecedented that it could jeopardize not just his channel but his entire career. And in that moment, it seemed like there was no coming back. Just as the tension reached its breaking point, the unthinkable happened. Max Major, who had appeared lifeless just moments before, suddenly moved. First, it was a slight twitch, then a dramatic gasp as he pulled himself upright. His face broke into a wide grin as he exclaimed, "Gotcha!" The magician, who moments earlier seemed to have met a grim fate, was perfectly fine. The reveal was meant to be triumphant, but it landed like a slap in the face. Cenat, still reeling from the shock, was not amused. His hands Max, however, seemed completely unfazed. He laughed, explaining that it was all part of the act. "It's an illusion, man," he said, as if that justified the emotional roller coaster he had just taken everyone on. Max's demeanor, calm, confident, even smug, only added fuel to the fire. It was clear he had planned this down to the last detail, including the part where Kai believed he had just witnessed a tragedy. The audience's reaction was immediate and visceral. The live chat flooded with comments ranging from outrage to relief to utter disbelief. "That was not okay," one user wrote. Another added, "He really played with Kai's emotions like that?" Social media was no kinder. Within minutes, clips of the incident were circulating, with captions like, "Max Major takes it too far," and Cenat's nightmare livestream. Kai, meanwhile, was still processing what had happened. He wasn't just upset, he felt blindsided. Turning to Max, he said, "You should have told me. You can't do stuff like that and not warn me, man." But Max stood firm, brushing off the backlash as if it were all part of the performance. "It's just a prank," he insisted, a line that only seemed to make things worse. In the eyes of the audience, this wasn't just an illusion gone wrong, it was a violation of trust. Kai wasn't in on the joke, and neither were his fans. For them, this wasn't entertainment, it was manipulation. And while Max may have seen it as a clever stunt, the internet was quick to label it as something else entirely, a betrayal of good taste, boundaries, and the responsibility that comes with performing live for millions. Coming back. In the aftermath of Max Major's shocking stunt, Cenat's response was as raw and unfiltered as his live streams. Still visibly shaken, Kai struggled to find the words to address what had just happened. He wasn't just upset, he was furious. "Nah, bro, that was messed up," Kai exclaimed, pacing back and forth. His tone was a mix of anger and disbelief. For someone who thrives on unpredictability, this crossed a line even he wasn't prepared for. Kai made it clear that he felt blindsided, and his frustration was palpable. He turned to Max Major, who was still smiling as if he had just pulled off the stunt of the century. "You didn't even think about how this would look," Kai snapped. What if people actually believed it was real? What if the stream got shut down? Or worse, I got banned for this? Kai made it clear that he felt blindsided and his frustration was palpable. He turned to Max Major, who was still smiling as if he had just pulled off the stunt of the century. "You didn't even think about how this would look," Kai snapped. What if people actually believed it was real? What if the stream got shut down? Or worse, I got banned for this? The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was professional. Kai knew the risks of live streaming, where every second is broadcast in real time to a hyper-engaged audience. One wrong move and the consequences could be catastrophic. And Max's stunt, it was a nuclear-level wrong move. The chat, which had been a mix of shock and outrage during the stunt, was now rallying behind Kai. Comments flooded in, supporting his frustration. Kai didn't deserve that. One viewer wrote, "Max really put him in a terrible spot." Another chimed in, "That wasn't a prank, that was selfish." Kai wasn't done. Later, he addressed the situation more directly, calling the stunt irresponsible and selfish. "This isn't just about me," he said. "It's about the audience, too. You can't mess with people's emotions like that. It's not entertainment, it's just wrong." Max, on the other hand, seemed unapologetic. He brushed off the backlash as overblown, claiming the stunt was meant to teach Kai a lesson after past pranks. But to Kai, and to many watching, it felt like Max had crossed a line that wasn't his to cross. And while Kai eventually moved on with the stream, the tension lingered, a reminder of just how quickly things can spiral when trust is broken. The moment the stunt ended, the internet did what it does best: react, analyze, and criticize. Within minutes, clips of the incident flooded social media platforms. From Twitter to TikTok, from Instagram to Reddit, everyone had something to say about Max Major's performance and Kai Cenat's reaction. And let's just say the reviews were anything but mixed. Twitter was the first to catch fire. Hashtags like Kai Cenat, Max Major, and livestream disaster began trending within the hour. Fans expressed their outrage, confusion, and for some, disbelief that something like this could happen on a livestream. How did this even get approved? One tweet read, garnering thousands of likes and retweets. Another user commented, "This wasn't a prank, it was straight up cruel." TikTok creators jumped in quickly, dissecting the situation frame by frame. Reaction videos popped up, showing influencers and fans alike replaying Kai's panicked face and Max's smug reveal. One viral post summed up the sentiment perfectly: Kai deserves better. This wasn't entertainment, it was trauma bait. The video racked up millions of views, with users flooding the comments in agreement. On Instagram, fan pages and meme accounts took a lighter yet no less critical approach. Screenshots of Kai's horrified expression were plastered across stories with captions like, "When your magician guest takes things way too far." While some fans tried to laugh it off, the majority echoed a shared sense of discomfort with how the stunt played out. Reddit threads exploded with debates about the ethics of live streaming and how far is too far when it comes to content. One popular post read, "This isn't just about Kai, this is about the culture of pushing boundaries for views. Where do we draw the line?" Discussions ranged from condemning Max Major's actions to questioning whether live streaming as a medium is spiraling out of control. Regardless of where people stood, one thing was clear: the stunt had struck a nerve. Social media wasn't just reacting, it was dissecting, debating, and amplifying the situation to a level no one involved could have anticipated. And while the internet's attention span is notoriously short, this moment felt like it would linger for a while, sparking questions about the fine line between entertainment and exploitation. As the dust settled on one of the most shocking moments in livestream history, the incident with Kai Cenat and Max Major left fans and critics alike questioning the boundaries of entertainment. This wasn't just about one stunt gone wrong, it was a glaring example of how far content creators and performers are willing to push for attention, and how dangerous that game can be. Kai Cenat's reaction was raw and real, and it highlighted the emotional toll of being a public figure under constant scrutiny. For Kai, this was a moment of betrayal, but for his audience, it was a wake-up call. Viewers began to ask themselves, is this the kind of content we want to support? Do we, as an audience, bear some responsibility for enabling this kind of spectacle by rewarding extreme content with views, likes, and shares? Max Major's stunt also brought up broader questions about ethics in live streaming. While he framed the act as a harmless illusion, many saw it as reckless and manipulative. The livestream audience wasn't just a group of passive viewers. They were active participants in a moment that felt horrifyingly real. This wasn't a scripted movie or a magic show with safety nets in place. It was raw, live content broadcast to millions. The stakes were real, even if the stunt wasn't. This incident also shines a spotlight on the culture of pushing the envelope in digital entertainment. Live streaming has become a space where creators feel the need to constantly up the ante, delivering bigger and more shocking moments to keep audiences engaged. But as the Kai Cenat Major stunt showed, there's a fine line between thrilling entertainment and outright exploitation. The backlash also raises the question, should platforms like Twitch or YouTube step in to establish clearer guidelines for live performances? Some argue that there needs to be more oversight to prevent incidents like this from happening again. Others counter that part of what makes live streaming exciting is its unpredictable nature, and adding too many rules could stifle creativity. One thing is certain, this event has sparked a much-needed conversation about the responsibilities of creators and the expectations of their audiences. How far is too far when it comes to entertainment, and who should be held accountable when things cross the line? For now, the world is left wondering if this will mark a turning point for live streaming culture or simply be another controversial moment lost in the ever-moving tide of internet drama. What are your thoughts on this emerging scandal? Share them in the comments below. Follow for more celebrity insights.